that study.
That stuff is so complicated.
Yeah, so we still need to look at creativity and insight. Whether those people 20% better on that one thing that they were learning, but they didn't test whether or not they could extract that and apply it to other situations. But 20% better, that's a C to an A, right? If you're talking about a test. But you might also not be able to do the erasure parts that you need to do. You might be sacrificing other parts, other things that you learned the day before that, for example, and that you need to schematize instead of learn via just rote.
Man, I hope somebody does some research on that, because so my brain already starts worrying. So, all right, let's say that each day I was going to pick one thing and I was going to study it for, let's say, 20 minutes. And then I'm going to replay the clock ticking for 5 minutes during my REM cycle, which let's say is tied to my Fitbit or whatever.
Right.
And so I know when I'm actually in REM.
Yeah.
It triggers, but it only triggers for a brief period,
Right.
so that theoretically I can still do all the other things.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be really interesting.
I would just do it that
works.
one night and just for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
I don't
repeat
do
it.
it night after night. You're gonna screw everything up and saturate your brain with that one thing.
Yeah, that sounds about right. You end up getting some advantage in one area, but you end up sacrificing everything else.
Yeah.
Because you are competing against evolution.
Yeah.
Evolution's had a lot of time to figure things out. But we were talking about this right before we started rolling camera. There's a really interesting meme about here's what the Olympics looked like in 1921. Here's
Right.
what they look like in 1921 or 2021. And it is hilarious how much more advanced we are now. So obviously, as you pointed out, it's not our biology. Our biology hasn't changed.
Yeah.
But the cultural element that stacks, we've more belief because we've seen what's possible.
Yeah.
Better equipment, better training.
Right. We know what our
that
bodies
kind of
can
stuff.
do. We can push it harder knowing that we're not going to rupture anything. Or if we do, at least there'll be good physicians
Right.
on hand to help us heal.
Yeah. Man, it's so interesting. Learning really is a superpower, and memory is the thing that I've struggled with most profoundly in my life. So, and I'm always looking for things that can help with that.
Yeah.
Are there, you might hate this question, but are there drugs that help with memory?
Yeah, there's even one called memantine. I mean,
Memantine?
Yeah, for memory, right?
Interesting. How have I never heard of this?
Yeah, it's got side effects.
What's the on-label use case?
So I believe it's for dementia. So,
Okay.
yeah,
And it works?
somewhat. Again, nobody studied these things in relation to sleep. So
Right.
what it does is it boosts acetylcholine by blocking the receptors that reuptake it. Acetylcholine is really important for neuroplasticity.
Isn't that what makes you feel tired?
It's adrenaline. I mean, that's adenosine.
Adenosine.
Yeah, that's all
Okay.
right. Acetylcholine, ACH is the
Yeah,
way
I'm
we...
trying to cram the
that's all
things
right.
into the little bit that
They
I
both start with
understand
A,
here.
you're
Yeah.
right. So acetylcholine, you need it when you're attending to something. It's pumping great and giving us great rhythms for learning when we're exercising. So walking and learning is a great thing to do, or running and learning is a great thing to do. It's also really present in our brains when we're in rapid eye movements.
You're more likely to remember something that you learned while walking or running?
Yeah, or incorporate
Interesting.
it. Yeah.
Because of the neurochemistry.
Yeah, because of the rhythms of our brain.
The rhythm or the...
And the chemistry. The chemistry sets up the rhythm. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Wow, I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
I have experienced that you can get insights while walking, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
But I did not know that you're more likely to remember something.
Yeah. Yeah. So actually sitting at our desk trying to learn something is probably not the best way to learn things.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Is there an evolutionary reason for that? Just that we would have always been moving? I don't know.
think so. I think it's probably that's probably what it is. Yeah. I don't know otherwise, but we can create, for example, cats watching a bird fly around has a ton of that acetylcholine. Actually, whenever we attend to something, acetylcholine gets ramped up in that area of the brain we're using for for that purpose. So, and then again, during REM sleep, we have a ton of acetylcholine in those areas of the brain that are trying to learn. During slow wave sleep, when we're cleaning our brains, acetylcholine is gone. It's completely gone. So we need it to be absent when we're doing the cleaning process.
Very interesting. Okay, I'm going to try to talk through something.
The side effects are...
Oh, please, yeah.
Acetylcholine is what every single one of our muscles uses. Our gut uses it. And so a lot of acetylcholine will screw us up, screw up our guts, make us feel awful in lots of ways. So...
Does not sound like a good trade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything that makes me feel sick, like even eating a meal too late, which is actually something we didn't talk about when you talk about sleep hygiene.
Yeah.
For me, even stopping eating 3 hours before I go to bed, I will feel the difference. So I stop eating 7 hours before I go to bed.
Wow.
And it feels awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I used to eat like literally chew, swallow, sleep.
Yeah.
And when I stopped doing that, I was like, whoa, this really makes a huge difference.
That's great.
And I remember when my wife had massive digestive issues, and she kept saying, I really think it matters, like how much before I go to sleep that I stop eating.
Yeah.
And I was like, why? Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
100% definitely not it. She's like, no, I really think it is. And I'm going to start stopping earlier and earlier.
Yeah.
And she settled on about 3 hours. And then when I started doing intermittent fasting, just for other reasons, had nothing to do with how I was sleeping, I found that it improved my sleep.
Yeah, that's great.
Which is very, very interesting.
Yeah, it is. Actually, there was just a study out about what eating a high protein meal will do. It changes the way your gut, what a hormone your gut secretes that then that hormone travels to your brain and helps you sleep better.
Protein.
So,
I've heard that carbohydrates help you sleep better, but I've never heard it about protein.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of research that needs to be done yet. This was in flies and mice. And then baby mice and baby humans sleep better if their tummy is full. So,
but not adults.
Not adults.
That's